Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It is I, as always, Gavin.
And I, Justin.
And we are here with our good buddy Colter on his journey through his personal automotive soul search. So let's just get into that, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
How are you? How are things?
You know, things are going really well.
What's good in the hood, dog?
I mean, besides about a week ago, the Apple store was robbed.
What the fuck? Really?
Yeah, Farmington Station.
Yeah, so
Oh
I
my
was there
God.
when that happened.
What went down?
So it was, if you've seen those videos all online where they smash and grab, like they have, not smash, but they just come in and grab everything.
Yeah.
It's exactly. Like, kid you not,
Really?
to the T with all those videos. Like, I was like, wow, like, this is really happening.
And you were just like, it's just
Yeah.
happening in front of you.
Yeah, we're just told just to let them, because it's all that stuff is insured.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't really do anything with them after. Anyways, they're basically expensive paperweights. So
Really? Yeah.
yeah, the probably most annoying part would be because once you leave our Wi-Fi on those things, an alarm goes off on them.
Yeah.
And then your picture's being recorded, and it just sends it back.
Yeah.
Anytime it connects to a Wi-Fi, it'll just send all that stuff back.
Yeah.
So realistically, it's like they're just annoying. We've had some of those go off where they lose Wi-Fi connection, and they're
In the store?
yeah, they just won't shut up.
Oh, gee. I mean, they're working,
Yeah,
but they're also broken.
yep. And so what they'll do is just turn off. Even if you turn off, it turns back on.
Huh.
So it's just like, and then it's back on the alarm, and it's like, I'd rather just not deal with this.
I mean, because there's also that feeling that you have been kind of taken advantage of by somebody. They're coming in, they're taking your shit.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a video.
Yeah? Where you just had your phone out going like,
No, it was actually one of the other kids. I was more part of the back of the store, and I was working with a customer. You know, we had alarm go off. I was like, oh, that's normal. Like, and then they all started slowly going off, and I turned around and I was like, oh, we're being robbed.
oh, cool.
And so
great.
I pushed my customer more to the back of the store just to make sure they're safe rather than
Right.
but-
What do you say in that situation? Are you saying like, hey, so like, looks like we're being robbed. Like, just let's get
it's
over
just
here.
It's like, hey, let's just let them do their thing because all of it's insured, and you know.
But you were transparent with the customer
Yeah.
about that, saying like, hey, this is happening.
Yep.
Let's make sure you're not involved.
Yeah,
That's
Yep.
interesting.
Let them do it. Just step back.
it's a pretty interesting video all about it. Let's see.
And I actually, when I heard that it happened, I texted him. I was like, I have a suspicion, because I watched a documentary a couple of weeks ago on how lucrative the illegal Apple trade is in China.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What's funny is they actually dropped a couple phones that had their fingerprints on them. Some of them didn't have gloves, so
Stupid motherfuckers.
If you're going to commit crimes, do it good.
yeah, do it properly.
So my apartment got broken into
Yeah.
this last week.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Twice actually. We've been having some weirdness with the garage doors in our building. And so now one of them is completely not permanently, but programmed to not open anymore.
Gotcha.
But it's interesting because you still need a key to get up into the apartment. I haven't seen anything about thefts like that, or in the apartment. I've just seen like things about break-ins in the garage.
Yeah.
But we have a camera in our lobby, obviously, and there was somebody that made their way through that front door.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like I have a picture of the guy. So if I could hold my phone properly, that would be awesome. Let's see. Yeah, elevator new break-in. Elevator's currently down, even though it wasn't yesterday. We were also broken into again last night. East side garage door won't close. Yeah. Yeah, so that's fun. Super cool.
It is amazing, having watched since 2020, how much like little petty thefts like those have escalated a fair amount. Mm-hmm. Just because I would basically say it made enough people desperate with money and whatnot to make people be like, okay, I can get away with this real quick. Yeah, like, simple outfit, put, a mask on, masks that they now already have just by pure coincidence.
Widely available.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then just be able to go, okay, if I steal like a little bit of shit, I can sell this stuff for like a couple $100,
I can get by.
in and out, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's intriguing. I mean, we even like here we rarely have anything, but we had a couple bikes disappear. Like, usually never happened.
Did I tell you about my bike that's been stolen twice?
Yes.
Have I told you,
have
this?
a bike?
A mountain bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did. So I've actually had a couple of bikes stolen. One was stolen out of a campsite that I was staying at with my parents, like in southern Utah. Like, just some asshole kid stole my bike, returned it with a pop tire. So that was one thing. And then I got another mountain bike, a K2 something. It was honestly a piece of shit. It was such a shit pile mountain bike.
Gotcha.
Like, it was always like clacking with the chain. Like the gear changer wasn't ever that happy. I think it was a Shimano.
Okay.
And so I got that sometime in high school, and then I took it to Utah State. I went to Utah State from 2011 through 2012.
Okay.
And they had these bike racks that were outside, but there's also a little bike room that was near the front door of our apartment building. Have you actually been up to Logan?
Not that apartment, but I didn't know you had an apartment up there. I've been up to Logan, but
I stayed in one of the dorms. I didn't know if you might have known one of the dorms.
Nope.
Anyways, so the one time I didn't leave my bike in the bike room. I was outside. I used to smoke cigarettes, by the way. And I know you're learning so much about me. So I was where this apartment was, or the dorms. There were these 5 dorm buildings that were on top of this parking terrace that overlooked all of Cache Valley. Mm-hmm. And so when that was happening, I was outside having a smoke on the terrace roof, looking out, and I hear this clack, 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 in the background, and I turn around, and someo's riding off with my bike. This is at 10:30 at night.
And you're like, I know that sound.
I'm like, that sounds extremely familiar. And I kind of bark, yell at him, go hey! and they turn, and I do it again, and they drop the bike and run.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the first time my bike got stolen. And then the second time was at this house I lived at in Taylorsville. I moved in there with some elementary school friends. One of them got back from graduated college and got a job at Goldman Sachs, and this is before. This is in 2016, so houses, especially in Taylorsville, were reasonably affordable. Mm-hmm. And so, the 5 or 4 of us moved in, and so we all of us had pretty cheap rent, and it wasn't in the worst part of Taylorsville, but it wasn't great. It was across the street from a golf course, but north of us was crackheads, south of us was crackheads, and we were just off of Redwood.
Okay.
So that part of Salt Lake, or of Taylorsville. And so my bike was in the garage, I think. My car wasn't, but my bike was. And this, apparently somebody that one of our roommates didn't lock one of the outside doors from the garage. And so someone just walked right into the garage. And then Caleb, the guy who owned the house, and our roommate, his room was the first room in from the garage. His bedroom, his fucking bed was right next to the garage. And so the person, one of them stole my bike, and either the same person or somebody else took his phone and his wallet right under his fucking nose.
Yeah.
He was asleep at 2 in the morning, and then they took it and ran.
I wish I could sleep that deeply sometimes.
Me too. What's the irony though is that we found my bike someone ditched it 2 houses down.
Because you're like, oh, this is an absolute piece of shit.
This is a shit
still
bike.
The click, click,
Oh
click,
yeah,
click,
same bike.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And when I moved out of there, I just left the bike. I was like, I don't care. I don't want this thing anymore.
Yeah, nobody wants it.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome, Colter.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We've talked about you before on this.
The infamous Colter.
Oh yeah, no, I'm Colter. Yeah.
Tell us about yourself, maybe.
I've been into cars for all my life, basically. Like my dad loved cars. He kind of has been the one that's gotten me into it and just been my, I would say, biggest supporter in all of it and just letting me do my thing. And, he'll give me advice and then that's up to me if I want to take it and listen. And,
Sure.
I learn from experiences, as you all may know. And
as long as he respects that, though, and he understands that this is just advice, and you can take it and use it or not use it.
Yeah, no, he's had a lot to learn as well. Like, I think at the beginning it was kind of hard for us to I really want this car. He's like, no. And then he got better at because I just told him, I was like, hey, I just want your support. And then he kind of started listening and being there and just showing his interest and not just being about, oh, you shouldn't do that. It was like, hey, what
would be an example of one of the earlier days of I want this thing? Would it just be some crazy exotic that is $300,000 or
Yeah, so I remember I got home from a mission and a R34 showed up for sale. Oh! I was like, hey, Dad, this is a great investment. Let's do it. $100,000.
I mean, that would have been a great investment.
Yeah, $100,000. Just I was like, he's like, why? And I was like, because it's the R34, Paul Walker and all that. And then he's like, no. I was like, okay. And
once those cars become federalized, you need to not stop giving him shit when they're all going to be $500,000.
Yeah.
I know. That's true.
Dad, you literally could have bought another house after reselling that car.
You could have resold it.
Yeah.
Get some sponsorships maybe.
I mean, clean ones, clean ones are going to be 700 plus probably. Clean low miles, blue. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Once you can actually drive them without being under show and display.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that happened with, a little bit with our 32s. Our 33s are seeing a little bit of that too.
Yep.
But the 34 is when it's all going to go fucking crazy. And we're going to see we're going to see a good amount of 7-figure R34s. I think.
Oh, yeah. Completely agreed. And actually, that actually reminds me, you've been kind of a Nissan person most of your life, kind of because of that and because of the car you still currently have.
Yes. So I still am driving my 2003 G35 sedan. It's been in our family since day one, since my dad got it. And I've done, I've lowered it on coilovers. I did the whole suspension just so it would ride well and nothing.
You weren't doing it for show points.
No, I wanted something that would be kind of reflect what I wanted and not what the whole car community wanted or
Thank you.
Good.
And what
we need more people like you.
You look at all those videos of the Infinities, they're all doing the burnouts, they're doing drifts and they crash or something Nissan Altimas or
Yep.
And so this was just, it was oh cool, it was gonna be at the time the closest thing that I could get to a R34 or the same brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it just made me, I put some wheels on it, some TSWs, and then a sway bar kit, and it just handles a lot better than it did in the beginning when I first got it.
Cool.
So yeah.
And we were actually curious, we were debating this earlier, does it have an exhaust or no?
It doesn't.
I thought it sounded a little spicy the one time I heard it, but it didn't sound
It does have a cold air intake, which made it louder. But honestly, that.
So a little bit of induction then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So it does. It doesn't have an exhaust, but that's where.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess you were right. I thought it sounded a little spicier, but not like a complete trumpet.
Right. Yep.
It almost, it almost reminds me of the early Muranos, because the early Muranos have kind of a weird low tone to them, not necessarily like the trumpet you usually have in.
Well, those are still
cars.
VQs though.
Well, that's my point, is that his almost sounds closer to that, where it's that lower tone than it is the trumpet tone.
Did you know my dad had a G37? Mm-mm. He had an 09 G37X Coupe in the amethyst graphite paint.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because it was my dad's, it was unmodified in any sort of way on all seasons kind of thing.
Yep.
But that actually, that and yours are probably the better examples of VQs that I've heard. Like it's, as soon as you throw fucking anything at the exhaust, like the sport exhaust that came from Infinity, fine. But like anything really beyond that is like, okay, like
Yeah.
chill out.
Probably an unpopular hot take with at least some of the Infiniti and Nissan boys, but to be honest, I prefer the sound of most of the Muranos in the Infiniti variety than I do their like VQs with exhausts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the most gnarly I think actually factory VQ exhaust I've heard is off FX35. Those actually sound the business. Those actually sound really, really good.
Yeah, I think the problem is most of the cheap aftermarket alternatives for the exhausts for that aren't doing anything to help the tone of the engine and
Even
they
the
just make it worse.
Even the
Yeah.
expensive ones, like honestly, in my opinion,
Yeah.
anything that you really throw at the exhaust, and you might have a differing opinion too. But by and large, exhaust wise, like most things, even like expensive titanium exhaust, I personally don't like them. But
Yeah, no, that was the hard part for me because I'm very like particular in what I want, and that's why like it took me like 6 or 7 months to figure out what wheels I really wanted and shoot it. Like let's just order them. But for exhaust, it was just like they all either sounded too deep, didn't sound very like what that car is. It just didn't fit it, and then they all sounded like trumpets, and it was just like maybe I don't touch the exhaust and I just touch everything else. And you know, it's now at 256,000 miles.
damn, really?
Yeah. It's
And
shit.
the crazy thing about that, though, is having done some work on your car, like mainly your headlights, the car is very clean, being how original the paint is, and being how that era of Nissan in particular had like paint peeling issues and things
Yeah.
like that. The only thing I remember on yours was on the spoiler, it's starting to fade, but
Yeah.
everything else is still there.
I've never really taken a close look at your car, so I might do that after this
Yeah.
because I've only kind of seen it like from afar, really.
Yeah. A lot of people, like I get a lot of looks because I changed up. So there used to be yellow side markers, like the orange ones.
Yeah,
And I changed those out because I really wanted the clear ones. And it sets the car so much
because it's
better.
more of a champagne colored car,
It,
like a silvery
no, it's
champagne.
it's
just
Is it
straight silver.
silver.
yeah, silver.
I've like really seen your car once, like during sunset, so you
Yeah.
have to forgive me.
Yeah.
Yep. It's basically, if you think of the silver that my S6 was, it's almost that exact same.
Oh, really? Okay, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. So it looks a lot better. There's not any like weird colors on there anymore. It's all that like very clean, clear.
Sure.
or-
Executive.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Justin redoing the headlights, which I've done them before by myself, but this stuff that he used just is lasted, and those lights would have been yellowed by now like 3 months ago, and
Yeah.
they're kicking butt.
That's why I only use that. I
Yeah.
get asked a lot of times why I don't like charge $20 to polish out each headlight, because that only takes me like 10 minutes. It's like,
Yeah.
because I don't want to sell you something that's going to be shit in 3 months.
Yeah.
I want to sell you a fix, not a Band-Aid.
Right.
So like, yeah, it's $100, but that's cheaper than replacing your headlights.
Did
Oh, yeah.
you do the headlights on my Forester? I couldn't remember if you or Maddie did.
It was me.
Okay.
Yep. And that was only like 3 months before I got rid of it, I think. It was pretty,
I
it
think
wasn't,
so,
because it was in the
yeah.
winter right before.
Yeah, and then I hit a deer.
Yep. But that, yeah, I'm glad that they're still kicking, because
Yeah.
that stuff, the only reason that stuff works so well is because it UV cures, and so theoretically, the longer it's in the sun, it just cures more.
Oh yeah. No,
Right.
and it had, because those headlights are so hard to find and they're so expensive. Like for even the 2003, they're still going for like a good decent one that's not like aftermarket, you know, got all these LEDs, like the light, you know, sequential headlights. Like I don't want that. They were like $400 or $500, and I'm like,
Is that each or for the pair?
each.
Oh, that's,
Mm.
I
At
guess,
least that I could be wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Don't
been a
quote me
minute.
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really looked at much. But yeah, like when Justin's like, hey, let's try this. And I was like, cool. He did it. I was like, wow, this actually looks a lot better. And then I was like, okay, let's just see how it works these next few months. No yellowing at all.
I think it's been
yeah.
over a year at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
It's handled, you know, Utah winters, the salt on them. Like it is held up like no other, like any other product that I've used personally. And so like I love my headlights now because
Nice.
it just, you know, you see the headlights. That's like the first thing you see in a car.
It's part of, it defines the face of a car.
Yeah.
100%.
And so they're not yellow or like foggy like you see other Infinities. Like they're kind of hazing. These ones just look good.
Nice.
I love them.
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, because it can really age a car if you have that. It's one of the downsides when we made the transition in the late 90s from glass to plastic, is especially a lot of those earlier years are so prone to just turning yellow.
Oh, yeah.
Modern ones are a little better at it, but it's still plastic. Eventually it's going to yellow.
Yeah.
But nice.
Well, we brought you here for a reason.
Yes.
So you like your Infinity.
Yes.
It's not going anywhere.
Yep.
However, you've gotten rid of your S6, or your X4. Sorry, I was about to say
Hey,
S6.
I just want to put in there, it's not manual swapped.
It's not manual swapped. No way, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
You know, not a lot of people know that behind the scenes of the NSX film, you know?
Never gonna live that down, but it's fine. But you're looking for your next fun car.
Yes.
So now that you're here, and I don't have Justin as a middleman here to muddy up the conversation, what do you define as fun? What are the things that you're looking for in your next car?
Yeah. So biggest thing for me was I wanted CarPlay. Like anytime I got in a newer car and it just had CarPlay, it was just easier to connect.
Sure.
And just a nice ride quality, and it didn't feel like super futuristic. Like you see like Teslas, you know, driving themselves, you know, going, you don't have to touch the steering wheel.
We're doing air quotes for those that can't see.
It just didn't feel like those were all like, I want a car that I can control. Like it just feels like I'm connected to the road, not the car driving me.
Okay.
I'm driving the car.
And we've had this conversation before where cars that really try to be futuristic, it doesn't age well. It doesn't play out very well in the long run.
Yeah.
So like if you try to be, you know, cutting edge all the time, you're always going to be buying something new, and that thing that is trying to be cutting edge doesn't last.
Right.
So, okay. So what are you looking at then? We've talked about Type R.
Yeah. So I've talked to these two about it, but the first, it was about a year and a half ago, I think, when the new, when Nissan teased the Nissan Z, the new
Proto.
one. Yeah, the Proto. And then when they finally released all the photos, I fell in love with it. Like I was like, wow, like this is really nice. I love it. It's got great body lines. I didn't care about the huge front end, you know, and I could get around it. Like there's all these other cars I looked at that it just didn't seem like it would fit my style or what I wanted.
Okay.
And then, you know, I got on the list, and I won't name dealerships.
I think have we already named
We already.
Yeah, I think
we may have already named it,
Yeah.
but whatever.
For my personal, I don't want to hurt my family member. She was awesome. She set me up with the owner of this, and you know, he got me on the phone with the kind of salesman, like their best one, and never heard back. I was following like the Z, like, you know, like any person would, of something they love to do. And then when it came out and it was ready to be pre-ordered, like the dude just was like, oh yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to get you yours. Like, I have all these consignments on all these other cars and all this. I'm like, dude, you couldn't have told me this like several, you know, months ago, where I could have just
Looked at other things.
Yeah, look at other things.
So my understanding of what happened is you were on a list and then they lost your info.
They didn't lose it. He just never kept me informed. And so anytime anything new came out of the Z leaks, he didn't know. He's like, oh, that's news to me. I'm like, what is going on?
Homie, like I'm trying to give you my money to buy a car.
And they wouldn't, like, you know, a lot of dealerships were doing like down like $1,000, you know, reservation.
Sure.
And they didn't want to, just because they didn't want to be liable for that money, just in case. But I should have realized that means, you know, I was second on the list in front of allegedly, yeah.
At one point in time, your name was written down just after somebody else's.
Yes. Yep. And that was ahead of, you know, behind one of their technicians there. And then when it finally came out, like all the dealer markups, like you're seeing like $50,000 markups on these things.
Or more,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, I would rather just put a down payment on a GTR at that point. Like,
right.
A Z wasn't supposed to ever be that expensive.
No.
And that's why it hurt me to see like Nissan just didn't do anything. I wish they would have gone after more dealers. Like, the dealerships are ruining buying experiences for us car people.
I mean, we've had conversations about the dealership network in the past.
Oh, yeah.
It's the one thing that I actually kind of agree with the whole Tesla brand and Elon on. But I was actually getting the little van. We have an NV200 at my flower shop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's at now 221,000 miles, and it's on the original CVT.
There
if
you
you
go.
believe that. Original engine. Beating the balls off it all the time. You know?
Dang.
Anyways, we were getting an oil change, I think, done or something, and I asked like one of the service guys about like the Z, and he's like, we might get one as like a showroom car, but we're not going to get any to sell. I'm like, that's really interesting because you would think that with so much hype drummed up around these cars, like you would think it would be in the corporate's best interest to be selling as many as possible. Because corporate shouldn't really care about the dealerships as long as they're selling numbers and reporting back to corporate that things are being sold, in a reasonable time frame, in reasonable quantities. Then everything's hunky fucking dory. But corporate seems to not care.
Yeah. I think part of the problem is something that I looked at and mentioned on a podcast a few months ago, where there's a lot of states like Utah that not only have laws saying that you can't sell direct to consumers, but also have a ton of laws in the books protecting dealers. So like,
And that's been the whole thing with Tesla. Yeah.
Exactly. They've dealt with that extensively for the past decade. Where like part of the reason Nissan maybe didn't do anything, or at least here, is they might have had laws that didn't allow the corporate of Nissan to do anything to the local franchise.
Yeah.
They're, as crazy as that sounds, those kind of laws exist.
So they don't want dealerships to sell cars?
Right?
Yeah, because basically, I think how some of those laws are written from the ones that I read up, it would be like, okay, if corporate sells to one of their franchisers, corporate by law can only have so many dictations as to like what that franchisor can and can't do, since corporate can't control that separate business outside of whatever franchising agreement they have. And so that's where the markups are kind of, as stupid as it sounds, almost legally protected, because that franchise dealer is allowed to just do whatever the fuck they want, and corporate has limited control over that, other than just saying, hey, when your franchise agreement comes up in 2 years, we're just not going to renew it.
Right.
But that's still like 2 years out.
Sure.
You know?
So they're making the best of what they can in the next 2 years or so. That's an interesting perspective, interesting take. But so anyway, so the Z is out now.
Yeah.
Like, you're not out as in available to buy, because it's actually not. It's out of your life.
Yes.
So what are you looking at then?
So next was, I was looking around, like everything it doesn't look very appealing. Like, and then the, Type R came out. Like
what else was like on your radar before Type R that like wasn't super appealing?
I'll be honest, I couldn't think of anything. I was looking, I was like, I don't know what I want.
BRZ or GT86?
I thought about it.
Okay.
And then I was just like, man, like I want a little bit more faster. Like, no offense to all those that have bought that type of car.
Sure.
I do want a little bit more off the line speed.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I looked at those, and everyone started giving me options. Like Justin gave me the Jaguar
XF Sport Brake.
Yeah, Sport
Those are
Brake.
cool.
Yep.
I wanted to test drive it. I wanted to see, and then I was just like, it almost kind of was like flashbacks to buying my Audi.
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit. As fun as,
because it's a wagon, or
yeah, and I hadn't seen it yet, so it was like,
okay.
I saw my Audi before I bought it, but it was just like, I think it was one of those like midlife crisis where I just bought it, kind of like my dad told me don't do it, and I was like, I'm gonna do it anyways, type thing. And
did your dad say to not buy the Audi?
Yeah. He was 100% against it, and I was like,
for the record, so did I.
Yes. But at the time, I didn't take Justin's word very fondly. I was, as bad as that sounds.
What I want the listeners of the 6 people that are listening, what I do need to make clear is that this is not a representation of S4s or 4.2 liter cars.
No.
Yes.
It's mostly representative of the previous owner, who treated this thing like absolute garbage.
Well, and it's more than just to be fair to him, there's certain things that were him. He actually did quite a bit to unfuck that car. He rebuilt the engine. He did a lot.
He also borderline intentionally ruined it with other things too.
He actually bought it on the race lands.
Yeah.
He unrace landed it. He actually
Who did?
The previous owner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Believe it or not, most of it was the owners prior to him.
Okay.
And
So who'd you buy this from then? I thought you bought this from the person.
he did.
He did.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah, but believe it or not, less of the damage was from that person than the previous.
Who was before him then? We can cut this
We were
out if we
talking
want
about
to.
it last night. Like we're on good terms. Like
Okay.
Yeah.
me and him, like, yes, it was a very poor whatever happened.
Experience?
Like, it's
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
We're adults.
Yeah.
We're grown up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just get over it.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks because there's a lot of things that maybe didn't show themselves when he owned it,
Uh-huh.
and when they showed up for me, I mainly took the blame for him.
Okay.
Or directed it towards him. And I learned it was my fun loud car.
It was a very loud car. It was quite fun. We did a photo shoot of it earlier this year, and you let me drive it, which was. I had a lot of fun.
It's a fun car.
That was hilarious. For those that don't know, this is a B6 S4 wagon that comes with a factory 6-speed.
Yep.
And had a straight pipe with an AK-47 tune on it.
Yeah.
And it just went fucking crazy when you let off. But the nice thing was, and to a lot of people that might not sound that appealing, the saving grace of this car was that you could turn that tune right off with your cruise control handle and just go right back to quiet. And the sound insulation that comes in the car anyway can silence a lot of the noise in the first place. With the fact that it is a wagon, there's so much more space between your ears and the back of the car, and also the fact that it's an Audi, there's just going to be a bunch of sound insulation anyway. So
yeah, and it was funny when he's like, wow, like did you get what you asked for it? And I got enough for it. I made most of my money back.
are you satisfied with the end result of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was a sad day to see it leave, because I was like, man, I'm not gonna have my loud car anymore, to go terrorize the neighborhood, and all those EcoBoost Mustangs that think they're loud with their blow-off valves. There's one that drives by my work consistently every day, like 10 times, and I remember when I passed him once and I rev bombed him just because he kept doing it, and then I just was like, that's what a real V8 sounds like.
Nice.
And so, like, it was like not just like vroom. It was like full on, just like it was exactly like that. So it was orange, as everyone.
It's very orange. I'm gonna post a photo from our shoot with one of the ones with you in it. That'll go on our Instagram when we promote this episode. But
Definitely, it was a color my nephew helped pick out. He loved orange at the time, and so that was the fun part, to be able to share it with him at a car show and just show him. He's so excited, and I've always wanted to own an orange car, and I drove an RS5 solar orange in California, and I really fell in love with that. So I wanted to get something super close but unique to me.
Was that a V8 RS5?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So I think it was a 2015 or 2017.
It'd be 2014 or 15.
2014.
Yeah.
2015. I don't know.
It's one of those two.
One of the .5s, the facelift car.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
But to get back on the new car topic, it sounds like the next car that really interested you after the Z was the Type R.
Yeah, there was. I was like, I just wanted a fun Japanese car that would be with a warranty. Let's put that out there. Like,
sure.
I wanted something with a warranty. It was hard to find something that was gonna fit all my needs, and that's impossible.
Well, we're car people.
Yeah,
we're never satisfied. What about the GR Corolla? Did you just think that was going to be unobtainium anyway, with how difficult they were going to be?
Yeah, I think, and the straight line speed, and I love that it was a manual. Like,
I mean, 300 horsepower, short wheelbase hatchback with all-wheel drive.
Yeah, and there's just there's a lot of things that I had looked at. They were just, all the nice cars are too expensive right now.
I mean, that's true. I mean, the inequality in the wage gap right now is how that's growing is also happening with cars, where yes, you still have Miata, BRZ, GR86, those cars. Mm-hmm. You have a little bit that are just above it, the Mustangs and Camaros, which Camaros are going to be leaving soon. And then you have, I mean, the Chargers and Challengers are also on their way out, I think. And then you have like 400Z Type R, GR Corolla, and that's kind of it.
Yeah. There's not much.
And then there's like some like sports sedan stuff. There's like the RS3 that's in like the mid 60s.
Yep.
You have TTRS, which is the sibling. And you also have like Golf R.
Yep.
WRX.
I think the big thing we're figuring out here, which is what it sounds like you've probably discovered, is that the range where it used to be like the $25,000 to $40,000 sporty or sports car.
Oh, it was full. It used to be full.
It used to be full. It's now moved up to the 50s, 60s.
It's dwindling.
It's very you got to pick and choose. Like, are you wanting performance? No performance? Like,
I mean, really
it's hard.
That's almost why I think Hyundai's N brand has done so well, is because they targeted that.
Have they done
range.
that well with sales figures though? Because with the execution of the cars, they fucking crushed it with Veloster, Elantra, and Kona Ns.
I'm curious. I haven't ever actually looked up sales figures, but like, I mean,
I see them like occasionally. Like, I mean, you and I both know Randall, so like, there's that car. I've seen a couple of Elantra Ns. I've seen one Kona N.
Yeah.
I actually just saw this coming here. I saw a Veloster.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, look.
Let's see.
That's a good car.
Yeah,
They're fast.
I've heard.
They're faster than you think it is.
So, I mean, not amazing. So, and who knows if this source is correct, but it comes from, I guess, the Hyundai website. But so around 2,000 in 2021 and about 1,000 so far in 2022. It did not break that. Whatever list he found did not break down 19 and 20, which would have been probably the bigger years for the Veloster.
Right.
Well, Veloster, did that come out in late 2019?
It was 19 model year released because it was the year after my Stinger.
Yeah.
So, I think they did well, but not great, and I think that's part of the problem. They did well enough for them to keep selling them because they're still here.
Well, Veloster N's going out.
But it's going out this year. Yeah, this next
really?
model year.
Yeah, so they're ditching it to focus more on Elantra and a Kona. So I mean, but the Veloster is based on the Kona platform,
Right.
So it's just basically the CX-3 of that platform.
Yeah, that one, what's funny is that one didn't even break it down. These are mostly just going straight Velosters. Yeah, I'm not finding like...
The Veloster has been out for longer, so it's more easily trackable.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's actually been an easy way to break down Veloster N specifically, which is what that first forum post was talking about. Is that you can't... 2019 and 2020 sales figures were just the Veloster. It didn't say whether it was N or not.
I'd be curious to actually get your impressions after driving a Veloster N.
Yeah, I would love to.
We can transition this back to me for like a little bit because I actually wanted to talk about this last week and you didn't let me.
Yeah.
I love my car.
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of it. There are things I want to do to it this coming year that I'm excited about.
You've told me.
Yes. But I also am thinking about like, what is the next move? Should I turn one car into two cars? Should I just go from my car, which is a Fiesta ST, to a Veloster N, which is the next logical progression. I think for me, the best version of that is a dual clutch car with the better seats because I don't like the base seats. Love you, Randall, but your seats are ass. They're fucking flat. They don't hold me in like really at all.
Right.
His is a stick car, which the stick was fine. It wasn't like mind blowing in any kind of way, but and from what I've seen, like in videos and stuff, like the dual clutch is basically on par with Volkswagen's DSG. It's like 9/10 of Volkswagen's DSG. So that's kind of like I'm a fanboy kind of for the Veloster N because like it is bigger. It can like fit my life better. Comes with a dual clutch and really good seats. It's fucking fast. Like I've actually phrased it as it's the R35 GTR of hatchbacks.
And it surprises me how many people don't understand that when it launched in 2019, it won Car of the Year over a bunch of other cars.
Well, Performance Car of the Year at Road and Track, it beat out the C8 Corvette, the 992 911, the Performante.
Yep.
And part of it was also because it was a great, a sporty. Some people might, be loose with the tongue, and call it a sports car, which like
it's not.
That and the STI and the Evo, they're not sports cars. They are hatchbacks and sedans that have been sportified for lack of a better phrase. But it can bring you all of like these sports car inputs and sensations in a hatchback that's not unreasonably expensive. because they were like $29,000.
When the equivalent like GTI was going to be 3,000 to 4,000 more usually at minimum, and
yeah, well, and especially when Mark 7.5 happened, I was looking at them like potentially before I got the Fiesta, and they were like all the ones that I saw like locally were 40.
Yep.
It's like nah, I'm good.
Yeah, and so I think it just hit at the right time to kind of strike a niche, which is why it won that. And I haven't driven one, but from hearing you drive one, and just how good it is.
I've driven Randall's in the wet, going from the top of East Canyon down, and it blew my fucking mind.
Yeah,
because it's got like a really good diff. If you think about like in Forza or in Gran Turismo, how you can dial in all of like either your assists or like whatever in the game, you have almost that level of controllability with like your downshift settings, your stability control, traction, ride quality, your diff, like all of this stuff is like crazy. And I want to get your opinions on that too.
Yeah,
I mean, YouTube, like for potentially like a next car, because I do see it as a contender for a Type R kind of car, and it can come in both a dual clutch or a manual. So
yeah,
I don't know, and it's a funky car. It's got an odd amount of doors.
It's got 3, right?
Yeah, it's a three-door plus hatch.
Yep. So it's 2-door on the left.
So it's actually a 4-door hatch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a standard like one long door on the left and then 2 on the right.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting setup, but I think for what it is, it works well for what that car is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways,
yeah.
There were other things that you've alluded to, and I want to get down to the bottom.
Yeah.
of.
So my brother Tage, he kind of suggested some cars. He's like, "What about a CLA 45 AMG or 35
or a GLA?"
Maybe.
Okay.
I didn't think about those.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he gave me, so I was like, okay, like let's take a look, and it was a little bit more. And so they didn't have any at the lot in Salt Lake, so we got to try the CLA 250.
Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't much. It's a little peppy car.
Sure.
Seats not anywhere near what I want.
Okay.
It didn't hold me. It was kind of like my G has a little bit better seats
Sure.
holding than these did. But the Burmeister sound system, that was
okay.
I loved it.
Okay. So so CLA 250 is out.
Yeah. No, that was after I drove that. And I would be able to get that. I was talking to a guy, it's a $3,000 down, like non-refundable deposit.
For what? For 250?
For AMG 35, like CLA.
Okay.
But I'd get it in about 3 months.
That's not bad, actually.
Which isn't bad.
For the new one?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
That's actually pretty good lead time.
And it wouldn't have been bad, but it was the whole like $3,000, like non-refundable. Like, what if I find something else that I like?
Sure.
And that's where I was like, oh, okay. But they were gonna let me know when they got some 35s in, just so I could test drive those.
Sure.
And then I was looking at that Type R. I had contacted. It was gonna be a 7,000 markup.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing, is like everything is having such a big markup, and I was like, it's not. I don't want to have to pay a markup on it.
I don't think you should pay a markup
Agreed.
at all.
And so then, this is gonna be maybe a shocker to you.
Okay.
Is the TLX Type S.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
I test drove the 2021.
Sure.
And I loved it.
Okay. What'd you like about it?
It just had everything that, like, it had the sportier seats. It was somewhat limited, you could say, air quotes.
Sure.
And it was just fun to drive. Like, it just felt smooth. It felt like a new car. And it comes standard with so much more than any other car. Like, they are like adding on all this stuff. Like, it comes with all the lane keeping assist, like all this stuff that I think should be standard. But it came with CarPlay. It sounded great. Had the ELS system that's from Acura.
That still has super handling all-wheel drive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it had that, the V6, 355 horsepower.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like, it just felt like that is 90% going to be my next car.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which is weird, because I wanted a little bit bigger car, but still a fun car.
I mean, the TLXs are not small.
They're not.
Like,
I mean, 4,200 pounds.
Yeah, and they're
Type
long.
S. They're long. but it felt nimble. Even in the rain with the summer tires, that comes standard with it. He's like, don't push it too hard, but push it. And I was like, okay, I won't push it too hard. And it held really well. It just felt smooth in the rain. And
Nice.
Salt Lake City and their little potholes, it handled them really well.
Nice. Okay. Do those come on 21s?
20s.
20s. Okay.
So pretty big.
Yeah.
But didn't feel like it.
And I would say that's like looking at that. I hadn't really looked at them intensively, so I brought up on my phone. I'd say that's out of the Acuras currently available is one of the better looking ones.
Yeah.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Because Acura, as we've discussed before, is kind of a brand that although they're doing okay.
They're struggling to find an identity.
It's their identity that's struggling right now more than anything.
Did our NSX experience sway you in any kind of direction?
Actually, it was kind of funny when I went to that dealership. They actually had a black NSX there.
Type S or?
No, it was I want to say.
Oh, is this Jody Wilkinson?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know that car.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, we're not doing any markups on these cars. So that's
Good.
also what swayed me more towards that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I need to applaud that.
Like that was the first thing the salesman, he's like, if markup is a worry, we don't do that here.
Right.
Like that we don't believe in that. And I was like,
Hats off.
Seriously.
Where's my hat?
We need to crack a drink open for that. That's a party that in this day and age.
Hats
yeah.
off.
And I was just like, wow. Like, and I've never bought I was very like, I can talk about phones all day and
Sure.
all that, but like when it comes to talking about cars and like having to know what I want, I'm like,
Yeah.
I was super just weird about it, but like the salesman answered all my questions.
It's them, and I know Mark Miller doesn't do ADM either.
Yeah.
The Everyday Driver guys, they bought a GR86, and they bought theirs without markup.
I just
Which is
Like
sweet.
pretty early on, too. They've had that for like a year now, I think.
Nice.
So, something to think about, too.
yeah. It's my brother suggests, he's like, why don't you look at that? And I was like, yeah, I do want a manual, but I'm also not opposed to waiting and just manual swapping the G and doing some fun other stuff with the
Okay.
car.
And especially with that car, that would actually be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Comparatively,
Yes, we say
Yeah.
easy,
in quotes, but easier than more modern cars.
It's the car guy, like, yeah, it'll be an hour or a 2 hour long job.
Just
and then
like
it's
my
3
engine
days
mount the other
later.
day.
Yeah, that it's up on jack stands, no wheels on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so was there anything after the TLX?
No, that was more, I kind of narrowed it down. It was going to be those 3 cars. So Type
Okay.
R, CLA, and the TLX. And that's where I was just like, the AMG, as lovely it looks, like with that package and how sporty it is and the exhaust on it, it was just, I didn't want to spend money on the markup. And then I also didn't want to have to add all the stuff that I didn't need. Like it had like all these like the 3D or the virtual reality that it does. Like,
Yeah, the AR display.
I didn't really want that. Like,
Mhm.
and it was included with this. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
why? I want the performance, but I don't need that.
Sure.
And so that was kind of slowly leaning out. And then just knowing, like, I really wanted a fun track car. And then I asked Justin, like, I don't remember what I said, but you gave me a good response. Like, modern manuals aren't that great.
I know
but
what you asked me, just so we
Yes.
can clarify
Yes,
this
I would
on
love to
air.
hear that.
So what you asked me specifically was what drove me to buy a modern car that wasn't a manual.
Yes.
Right.
That was right.
So, and go ahead.
Yeah. And you put it right. Like, I think a lot of people said it, but you said it better. They're not as more automatics have gotten better,
Sure.
and they haven't really like updated the manuals.
Well, I mean, there's only so much you can really do, right? I mean, the proliferation of the ZF 8-speed and fucking everything. Justin's 8-speed and your Stinger was basically a copy and paste of, even though it wasn't made by ZF.
Yeah.
It was a copy and paste. The dual clutches from Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi. I'll give an honorable mention to BMW.
Yeah.
As well. Like it was good, but not like great.
Yeah.
Those have become so advanced for like daily driving. I mean, I drive a manual every day. I've been driving a manual every day for 4 years. You've been driving a manual for a long time with your Saab and your Audi.
Yeah.
And your Audis.
Audis, yeah, both of them.
Yeah. Like, manuals are great for an experience, but as far as like a tool for the job, like just the automatics now are just better. They are just better for that job.
Yeah, and I even pulled up my response, which was basically just really modern manuals aren't as good compared to older ones when it comes to comparing their automatic counterparts.
Correct.
Back in the day, the automatic counterparts to the manual in any specific car was usually shit.
Even not even that far back, like 15 years ago, like automatics are still kind of shit.
Yeah.
Because like I referred to, it's better than what you're used to in your Infinity, because your Infinity's 5-speed auto or 4?
5.
5, okay. You know, that's a traditional auto that's not really smart at all, that does okay for a basic around town thing, but like the second you start to do anything beyond that, kind of falls on its face.
A little bit, yeah.
But then, and then I just remarked that at the time that I bought the Stinger, for instance, which was my first automatic new car out of 2, the second one being the Tacoma, both of which were basically driven by, I drove a fuck ton, did not want to be rowing through gears.
Well, the Stinger didn't come in a manual, first of all.
Stinger didn't come in a manual either.
Yeah.
And both of which were like, I wouldn't want these in manual, having driven as many manuals as I have, and semi-trucks as well, where that's almost commonplace.
Yeah.
I just am like, I don't want to deal with that.
The manual on the Tacomas that are still available,
Are
and
junk.
Those the Volkswagens, because for the past almost 20 years now, Volkswagen has put so much more money into their dual clutches than they have their manuals. Their manuals have kind of suffered in quality.
Right.
Like all of our friend Carson with his 2 R32s, one in manual and one being a dual clutch with a Mark IV and a Mark V. The Mark IV had a resoundingly notchy and just engaging manual gearbox, and had that car been made in another 5 years from then, it would not have felt the same.
Nope.
Like imagining if they made a Mark V R32 with the manual. I mean, they did. We just didn't get them here.
And like the closest thing we have here that could compare to that is like a Mark 6R. You know, that's because that came in manual.
That's the only kind of metric, because other than that, it's a different kind of hull decks and also a 4-cylinder turbo motor instead of a naturally aspirated 6.
Yeah. So we never really got a comparison of that. You could drive a regular Mark V and feel that manual, but it's not a direct comparison.
No.
Yeah.
So we were going somewhere with this.
I mean, it's basically just that, like, that the manual that's in his Mark IV R32 is, believe it or not, it's
pretty good.
Very good.
Yes.
But very similar to like the shit that's dropped into a brand new Mark VIII. From that point on, really Mark V on, there's not much that changed when it comes to the Volkswagen manuals, because they were putting so much more effort into DSG.
Yeah, and we haven't driven a Mark VIII yet.
Exactly.
I have plans to early next year. But do they make a They do make a manual R.
Yes.
I know they did in the GTI. And we don't get the Golf here anymore. There's no Mark VIII Golf in the United States. But so you were just barely mentioning something about a potential track car. And were you thinking that for the
Type
G?
R.
Oh, for the Type R.
It was the Type R, because I was like, I really wanted something that I was like, yeah, I can take to the track. And then I asked Justin that, and then I really had that like one-on-one conversation with yourself that you sometimes usually have, like,
sure,
should I do it? And I was like, how often am I going to actually go to a track? Like, like I do work a lot, and I like just to hang out with friends already, and it's just like, it's a hassle to go out there. And like, I think it would be
We're
fun.
pretty spoiled. We have a track that's actually pretty close compared to where most people in the country have tracks.
Right.
You know, because some people drive fucking 4 hours to go to a track.
Right.
You have to really want it.
Yep.
What another case for the Veloster, if you can get one that is, I guess, not a 2019 because it's sort of lapsed by now, but maybe like an end of run Veloster, they do have free. It's a 1-year free membership to SCCA.
I think so. Yeah.
Or NASA.
It's one or the other.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
And all like your track duty and like all that is covered under warranty.
As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you can
I didn't know
beat
that.
the absolute balls off them.
I was just going to see if I could quickly Google it and find
Yeah.
out.
Oh, I forgot to also say I was looking at a Genesis G70.
Like the new ones.
Yes.
I've been seeing more and more over the past week or so, and I've actually seen them in the colors that were available in the previous gen. So like that really good red and that really good blue. They look the fucking business.
Yeah. I went and test drove. It was a G80. The G70 that they had on lot just got sold that day.
Sure.
So the salesman wasn't the greatest. He kind of didn't know too much about the car, so it was kind of
that's with most salesmen.
Yeah.
Honestly, they know about selling things. They don't know much about cars.
Yeah. So and I had my brother because he had looked at Genesis before, and so he was asking all the right questions, and the guy couldn't answer them very well. He's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like he had some good responses, but definitely ones that made me very concerned about like, okay, maybe I would definitely go with a different salesman.
Sure.
Or that.
Yeah.
But man, that car, it was weird because when you switched it to like Sports Plus, the seats hug you more.
Yep.
So I didn't.
So what? Like they
Yeah. So it automatically.
they crush you. They give you a nice little bear hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was super cool. And I didn't, and the massaging butt seat thing, that was weird. It was like, you've seen those cat videos, where they're kind of like sitting there. That's what it reminded me of on my butt. I was like, whoa,
funny.
this is weird.
It's pretty funny.
And it was heating and massaging. I was like, this is a little bit too much. It felt cluttered, like where everything was inside, like it just felt cluttered to me, and
Interesting.
I didn't like it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Now, that's just me.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things I didn't really need. I was like, I don't need the whole butt massage stuff, or like,
Yeah.
I love the seats that, hug you.
Sure.
That was pretty cool. But it didn't feel like my type of car, like what I would be seen driving. Like I drove it. I loved it. It was just.
So the impression that you give to others while kind of driving and like moving through the world, is that something that's like important to you?
Not necessarily what other people think. It's more what I think, like what I want. Because like, we're all influenced in some way of our friendships,
Yeah.
Sure. We're humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really want something that, like, that's why I've kept the Infiniti. Everyone's like, oh, why don't you sell it? And I'm like, because I love that car. I've done so much to it. So I want kind of a new car that I can kind of have that same connection that I do have with the Infiniti.
And keep it for 20 years?
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't really want to have to buy another car.
Yeah.
And that's what I want with this new car.
And I think that's fair as to why you're taking so long, because it's a lot more to weigh in.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I kind of had that same type of vision with the Stinger originally. Then plans changed when I needed a truck, and it was what it was.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if I could put somewhere near 250,000 miles on it in 5 years.
I really wish you kept your car
Yeah.
just for that.
That would have been
I
cool
know.
to see.
No, I mean, and I was well on my way there. When I traded it in, I was already at 46,500 miles.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So, the one thing I would say about, this is, I think, the third time you've actually mentioned like features that you don't need. I would say a good handful of the cars you look at from a modern perspective will have some gimmicks like that.
Right.
Like lane keep assist?
Yeah, like they'll have something, that
Most
you
modern cars do.
Yeah.
that
And
you
I'm not
might.
against
That's actually why so many car manufacturers, when I say so many, like basically everyone except for Lotus really, and I think McLaren as well, have electric power steering because you need that electric power steering rack to communicate with the computer to do lane keep.
Right.
And you'll find probably something like that in almost every one of the cars.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to find what will work for you, because there are some things, for instance, in the Stinger, that I didn't think I would care about that I ended up loving. Like the combination of the lane keep assist and the a couple of the other forward collision systems also gave it the ability to have full stop-start cruise control. So like I could have
Radar cruise.
with the radar cruise.
Yeah.
So it could stop me at a stoplight and I just click the button and it starts going on its own. Really cool. And I actually, at the time, that was really usable for me with how much I was driving. When I was sitting down in the car to test drive it, didn't even phase me. That wasn't even on my brain. Is like, I don't care.
Yeah. I should say, let me clarify. I'm not against that stuff. It's more, I think it should be standard. I shouldn't be an option.
Gotcha.
Like we're in this day and age where, why am I spending an extra $5,000 for this system? And that's why I think I'm going to get a better bang for my buck with the TLX.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you want to look it up and see all the standard what it comes with. Like it's a lot more than like there's just very few accessories. Like it's mainly just accessories add-ons.
Right.
Which
I remember the M2 was also that way when the first gen came out. There's basically choose your color and get out.
yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people will, or a lot of manufacturers will, do the thing where they'll bin certain options into certain packages just because.
Which can also be irritating too, because
Yeah.
I just want the one thing. You're going to make me pay $7,000 more.
Right.
Yep, my
That's-
Tacoma was that exact thing.
Yeah.
I wanted the nicer sound system, but I couldn't get the nicer sound system unless I also optioned the sunroof, the leather seats, and all this other list of stuff that I didn't want.
Sure. Okay, so I guess it's come down to really, for you personally at this moment in time, the two contenders, whether it's TLX Type S or Civic Type R. Could I ask a favor?
Yeah,
Not a favor, but could you please drive a Veloster N for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can definitely. I mean, is it Randall? Randall.
Oh, Randall.
He wants to let me just test drive it. I'm not hard on
Sure.
cars. Everyone.
I mean, I was going to set up a thing to drive his car for a week.
We can connect the dots.
We can definitely connect the dots.
He's a cool
Randall had the Fiesta ST that we did a little video on back in 2019, and that moment is what made me really want my car. Yeah, because it was a fully loaded Fiesta ST, sat nav, sunroof, the Recaro seats, and it had Indy 500 Firestones on it. And I was like, "Yep, this is what I need in my life." So you're looking at TLXs.
Do they even sell the Type S anymore?
They
Yes.
should.
That's weird.
Scroll down.
There's nothing.
Maybe it's under A spec then.
Build.
No, because that's.
Maybe they have it in a separate section for Type S stuff. Oh, there's an NSX Type S. No.
Yeah, go on the TLX.
Boop.
This would be really sad if they stopped and discontinued.
I haven't
it.
seen anything about it.
Yeah, 'cause it
look,
shows-
it's right there. 3
Yeah, so-
liters.
so hit-
So there's no button there. Get this offer.
What happens when you hit build? Is that what you hit last time?
I'm pretty sure it's what I hit.
it is.
Build.
and
Oh,
then
there we go. Okay.
There.
Super handling all-wheel drive.
Yep.
Select Type S. Yep. There we go.
So I
Okay.
was going to do the performance wheel and tire because it comes with the. I can't remember what wheel.
Michelin.
No.
Wheel manufacturer.
Sorry, I can't remember what tire it was on there.
Okay.
Pirelli?
It comes with.
Conti?
I think it's Pirelli.
It might vary because they just say high performance summer tires, so it might be a couple different
That would be
ones.
weird if they varied, though. You'd think they'd try to be pretty
I think
consistent with
it's
that.
Yeah.
based on the dealership, but I think what
Is
they
it?
said it was Pirelli,
Okay.
if I'm correct. But it didn't feel like a cluttered. I'm never going to use the infotainment system. Only like once you CarPlay, Android Play, like anyone
Yeah,
that's
sure.
connect, it's going to just.
Is it
It'll be already
wireless
better.
in this?
I think so.
It's
We
pro-
didn't get
it-
too
it-
much.
It's probably wireless Apple CarPlay, but wired Android Auto. Probably.
I don't think so because I think it would say wireless. It just says integration, so I think it's
It
actually
could.
just still corded.
I mean, it's got a wireless charger as well, so that was
Yeah.
interesting.
yeah, wireless
A
charging.
lot
cabinet
of the
there.
new cars, though, do have wireless Apple CarPlay
Yeah,
with wireless charging.
yeah.
You just put your phone in one place and it does it all.
So
Yeah.
there's that whole list of, the standard things, which most companies like Honda, Acura, Subaru have gotten really good with, like their standard safety features. Just you get any car, you get all the stuff.
Right.
Sure.
Which I agree with you. I do think that a lot of that should just be you get it and you can hopefully, if there's certain ones that you don't like, you can turn off. So for instance, on Bryce's
You
All-Track,
can. You just have to turn them off every time you drive the car.
it depends on which ones. So for instance, in Bryce's All-Track, I can toggle on and off the lane keep assist because it's garbage on that car.
Oh, yeah,
my
yeah.
Tacoma and my Stinger both had much better lane keep assist. On that Volkswagen, it's absolutely
Were they
trash.
still any good, though?
They were.
You think they were good?
They were good enough to not be intrusive.
Okay.
That's my bar. If I can have it on and it's not intruding into my regular driving, that's the bar for like just good passable.
Because I've just never seen a good one.
Yes. They're not great, and I'm not going to say they're not anything above good. They're passable enough to where they don't like interfere with my regular day to day.
Interesting. Okay.
So as long as you can turn that stuff off, that's my bar. Is like, okay, if
Yeah.
it comes standard, great. Just let me toggle it off and leave it off if
That
I
was
want
the
it
nice
off.
thing is like I can turn all that off and
Okay, cool.
which I thought was super nice. Like when I was driving it, like even in the rain, like some lane keeping assist has issues. Like this one handled pretty well. Like
I could see that being a problem with like reflections of water on the ground and stuff.
And so like I was very shocked at how well it handled on like, especially being on 20s. Like it was super nice.
Those
Like,
are nice looking wheels.
I do. Yeah, I like those.
yeah, so they're I couldn't find a accurate how much those wheels weigh, because I was like, oh, like how much do they weigh? Are they
Oh.
really lightweight wheels? You know?
No.
Yeah.
Probably not.
They
They're-
specify lightweight.
Yeah,
but
they're NSX inspired, so
I can see that.
yeah,
they're probably not as lightweight as the NSX.
They wouldn't be
wheels,
because
but-
one costs almost $200,000 and one costs 40.
yep.
yeah.
So
50.
what color would you have actually?
So
curious
I
about
was
that.
I was gonna do the Apex Blue Purple,
okay.
or
Yeah.
sorry, Purple
Pearl. Yeah,
Pearl,
yeah. Okay.
and then with the Orchid interior.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That's an interesting interior choice. Not a bad one. I just
Yeah.
actually wasn't expecting that. Okay, so just like the like light tan.
Oh, those gauges are like kind of throwing it back old school.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They're like for those listening, they're like a gray dial color with red text on them. So that's like throwing it back to the old Honda days.
Yeah, and
That's
so that
pretty
big
cool.
circle in the middle is your drive mode.
Yep.
The touchpad reminds me of like the Lexus, like those like.
Wait, Justin, go back.
Yep.
Or stay there.
Yep.
This, you remember?
Yes.
This is all in the
yes,
NSX.
yes. That's why I was like, oh, like it didn't feel like super clutter. Like I'm fine with everything right there because I know where everything is.
Yeah.
But that's where the Genesis had a lot of that stuff on the steering wheel where it just felt. It distracted my eyes. Like it was just like there's
Just
so
so
much
busy.
going on. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's like, okay, it's off to the side. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And it like, ventilated, heated seats. So basically everything that you need. I mean, it's 4,200 pound car. So
Yeah.
I mean, really, I would have more. I think I could identify your attraction to this is your attraction to possibly some things from your Audi, where the larger handling, all-wheel drive, like a little bit more comfortable ride than, like,
Yeah.
for instance, your G.
yeah.
I could
Because
see that.
this would put your garage or your lineup in more of a two dailies rather than a focused daily and a focused fun car.
Yeah.
So, and like the Type R would have elements of your daily driver duty. Like it looks like it rides harsh. I've only driven the last gen. I haven't driven the current gen because they just came out.
Yeah.
The last gen, considering is on 21s from factory, rode fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You'd be shocked.
Wow.
So, there's some, sporty feel like in the interior of that car, but as far as like how it drives and how it rides, especially in comfort mode, actually Veloster N also, when you turn all the shit off, like all like the aggressive shit off, also rides really, really fucking well.
Nice.
But yeah, this would kind of put you in like a two dailies thing, which, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But anyways,
I think, yeah, it could be good, but I think it really is going to come down to, do you want more of the two daily scenario where this can do a little double duty, versus like,
because this isn't a sports car.
no, it can just dabble in both effectively.
It's on its way to being a sports sedan.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which, if that's really your shit, then go off, Queen. Slay.
Or do you want something more like the Type R, where it is going to be airing more on that sporty end?
Right.
Yeah.
While also still being able to take all your friends and you throw all your shit in the back and ride well.
Yeah.
And I actually sent you one that you responded back.
Oh, the
that you didn't.
TTRS.
He didn't know the second gen TTRS came in manual.
Yeah.
But that's not warrantyable. I just was like,
No.
I thought I was like, oh, like that's cool. I didn't realize that was in the manual. So
but I think that's really your contemplationary area. Do you want a little bit heavier on the sport, or a little heavier on
Right.
the daily?
yeah, and so that's where
That takes some soul searching.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
where I luckily it's a $500 down deposit.
Okay.
It's gonna take a year. I
Okay.
guess 10 to 12 months.
Okay. That's best case scenario.
Yeah. And I'm going to do it on Monday, but like this is where it was just more of less. I at least have a car. I loved it. I enjoyed it. And that'll give me a little bit more idea of what I can do with the G, because I think there's some things that are going to start falling apart here soon.
Well, it has over 250,000 miles.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's where like my biggest worry is like, I love the G, but it definitely, I think I want it to be more of I could throw it around a corner, manual swap, just fun car.
I mean,
but
yeah, I could totally see. To me, that seems like a much more logical progression of like if you do get something like this, to have your older car, the car that you know is going to stay around anyway, have more fun with that. Manual swap it. You said you've already done suspension and like cornering stuff.
Yeah.
But like make that be the fun car, even though it is still a longer wheelbase, 4-door sedan.
Yeah.
With some sporty underpinnings.
That could be a good pairing. Now the question I had is that $500 deposit refundable or not refundable?
Yes, refundable.
Good.
Yes, so that's what I kind of also was like. If I pre-order Type R, it's a year out as well. It's a non-refundable $500.
On that one.
So that's where it's like I could get this car, and then be perfectly fine if I don't get it.
Percentage wise, I mean, yeah, okay. If you go Type R, you're more likely than not going to have to pay dealer markup, which fuck that. But if you do find one that isn't charging ADM for whatever reason, I don't think that you'll get more out of your investment percentage wise with this than you would the Type R. I do think that because the Type R, especially at the time and place it's being sold at right now, enthusiast cars, there's a lot of hype around cars like that. And unless if something super fucking scandalous comes out or all the engines blow up on them or something crazy like that, there's going to be a love for Type R's, and I don't think there's going to be any for cars like this. So when because you're talking about like I don't want to say you're fussing over, but you're at least debating about like, what am I paying down right now?
Yeah.
That kind of means nothing until at the end of it when you decide to get rid of it. And if you're you lose 40% of the car's value with this and maybe only 25% of the car's value with the Type R.
Well, and more what I'm talking about with refundable versus not refundable. If he puts down a deposit on this, but then decides he wants a Type R, he gets that money back. Versus on the Type R, if he put a deposit on that, it would be gone. He would just forfeit it completely.
Yeah,
he would not get that money.
Yeah,
back.
but you would definitely get more than $1,000 on the other end of that though back.
I'm not talking about the sales. I'm talking about if he in the middle of deciding cars.
I know, but I'm looking at the entire overlook of the entire ownership.
No, I know, and that I agree translates after way down the line.
Yeah,
see what it's like.
Yeah.
But I'm basically just saying it's safe to put down a $500 refundable deposit on something.
Yes,
because then you don't risk losing that money if you change your mind.
Right.
But if it's non-refundable, it's a totally different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where that's been a lot of soul searching, you could say, trying to figure out what I look for, and do I really want to go with that fun car on the weekends and then the daily as
you can also drive a fun car as a daily too.
That's true.
You can not hate your car on the daily.
Yeah, and that's where I think the G wouldn't necessarily be retired, but I think I'd give it a little break, and that's where I'd start working on it, not having to worry about my other car. Like I couldn't do that with when I owned the Audi. Like I was worried that the Audi would break more times than I would worry
for good reasons. Yeah, totally.
And
valid
so
reasons.
I couldn't do the necessary like things that I wanted to do the G when I owned the S4. So that's where I kind of this is where the whole new car warranty, the nice thing about Jody Wilkins, they would cover all the oil changes, life of it. So I mean, I do save some money there, not like terrible amount.
Sure.
And so that's I like the Acura, I like the look. But yeah, I love hearing what you guys think, and that's why I said yes to this.
Thanks. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah. Well, wish you luck.
Yeah.
I think I think you're on the last like half to quarter of the search.
Right.
You're narrowing down and pretty close, so it'll be cool to see what you get.
Yeah, it'll be interesting of what I can add when I order the Acura to see what things till it becomes not a like refundable, because we were talking, he's going to talk to me about that and what I can add and what I can't add, because I want like that carbon fiber duckbill that you can get with it.
Sure.
It makes it look good. I do want a heated steering wheel, got to keep the handsies warm.
It does get cold here.
But it keeps the flat bottom steering wheel, which I was shocked. Not a lot of people do that with like heated steering wheels when you option that. So
interesting.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah.
Well, we've been going for a minute.
We have been.
We have.
Yeah.
How long? what have we got?
Hour 15.
Oh,
Wow.
oh shit, dog.
I know.
That's a long time.
Well, cool. Well, if you want to hear more updates about Colter's soul search and his car buying, let us know. Get in our DMs at Exhibition of Speed on Instagram or mailbag.eos@gmail.com. We didn't talk. It was mostly about Colter today, which I think is good.
That was really fun. Like,
Okay, so how would you rate your experience? Would you come back?
yes, I would come back. The fun thing is like this was actually on one of my like checklists. I've always wanted to be on a podcast.
Well,
so I was like, when Justin asked me, I was like, because I wanted to ask. I was like, hey, can I be on your podcast one of these times? I wanted to, but then I was like, no, I don't want to seem pushy. And then he texted me. I was like, bro, what the heck? I was straight thinking. I was like, what the heck? Did he just read my mind? So it was really fun. Like I was like, what am I gonna? What should I talk about? What experience?
You know what we should do though? When you get your whatever car that you get, don't tell Justin. Okay. Don't tell me.
Okay.
And come back and we do a car conclusion. We can talk about the car that you got, what you like about it.
Yeah.
Everything, like all the thoughts and feelings that you went through between now and then. Mm-hmm. Keep it a surprise. I know it's going to be hard.
Oh, it's already hard.
It's going to be tough.
If when I share this, a lot of people aren't going to. I think it's going to shock a lot of people of what car I've decided to pick because like I'm very picky on my cars, and so like I shared with everyone what the Z that I was getting, and then them hearing my experience, and I love my aunt, and she helped me with getting the connections.
Right.
So thank you. I just want to put that out there as well. But then like just my journey, like it's hard. I didn't realize how hard buying a car is.
Yeah.
You're buying a car at the wrong time.
I know.
Sadly.
You really are.
I really am. I know.
10 years ago it was not like this.
Yeah.
But let us know. I mean, don't let us know and just show
I'll
up.
have to tell Carson.
Don't let us know the car. Let us know when you're coming on.
Yes. So we'll
hey,
know.
I'm coming in this day. Like, be ready for me. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, why? I'm like, just
I did a thing.
I did a thing.
I did a thing. Don't look out front when I pull up.
Yeah, you have to wait, and then we'll go on a
You
first
just
drive.
rev bomb the shit out of the neighborhood on your way in. Yeah, no, for sure. But thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah.
We can just do our end of show thing here. We got merch to buy still. People haven't, I don't know what the deal is, but we got hoodies to order. We got hats. We got stickers. We have all the shit.
Their hats last a long time. They held up at Bear Lake in the sun and the dirt.
Which hat did you get? Did you get a baseball cap or a flat brim?
Flat brim.
Gotcha.
Snapback?
I didn't know you guys did.
We did a limited run.
Yeah, because there were people that were very specific about like, I won't buy these, but I will buy this. Like, okay.
So we bought basically that exact amount.
Yeah. Hand stitched by our good buddy Ben Allred out in Magna. So shout out Ben. But yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about next time, but I'm sure it will be about something.
Yes.
So until next time, I've been Gavin.
And I've been Justin.
And I've been Colter.
There you go.
And this has been the Exhibition of Speed podcast. Goodbye.